Now in this video we will going to discuss about the three phases of design thinking. So now here we have a figure wherein we talk about the inspiration, then it comes to ideation, then it comes to implementation. So this is the cycle which is going to be considered for the three phases of design thinking. So what we consider by considering the inspiration, this involves going in the field, interviewing several segments of stakeholders, observing them, living their experience, collecting data with pictures, videos, interviews, and taking it back to discuss within the team until patterns and hypotheses emerge. So this is a bit elaborative, that is the inspirational method. So whenever we want to develop a product, so that is already existing or which we want to make it a new product, first we have to go to the field and first we have to prepare the questionnaires based on our experiences and based on the past previous experiences and also based on the previous feedbacks. We will going to prepare a questionnaire, then ask about the product, which is if it is already existing, and if you want to make it a new one, then we have to have the different types of the questionnaires we need to consider. Then we want to interview the several segments of the stakeholders. Here the stakeholders are the users or the customers. Then observing them and living their experience, collecting data with pictures. Suppose if you, of course, all these data what we are talking about, all these points what we are talking about, it depends from one part, it differs from one part to the other part, but it is a culminating of all the informations which will go into, because once we say inspiration, so these are all the points which we need to be considered. One is going to the interviewing the several segments of the stakeholders, observing them, living their experience of the stakeholders, here what we are concentrating about, collecting the data and pictures and doing videos and interviews. And these are things, because what happens if I consider one of the particular point, say for example if I considering the flatness of a chair, if I consider that as the point, one user will say that we need a perfect flat. Some people will be having an adjustment with a curved one. Some people will want with the 3 legs. Some people will say the 4 legs. So what are the advantages and disadvantages? All these things which will going to come into the picture, and we are discussing about that, and we are making the point whether it is yes or no. So based on that feedback, we will going to analyze. And once it takes all these informations, the data collection, and we go as a team and we sit as a team in the organization, discuss about all these patterns, whatever we have got from the feedbacks, whatever we have got, and after considering all the informations, then the hypothesis will going to emerge. What is that hypothesis? Hypothesis is nothing but a general rule what we want, or the general implementation what we want to make, what we want to cater the problems of the stakeholders which we have been considered, and how we can be able to overcome those problems. So that becomes the hypothesis. If I give the solution for that, then that will going to be the hypothesis. And these findings should explain the user's behavior and help them understand their needs and pains. Ideation. This refers to generation of ideas or solutions to address user problems and needs These ideas are combined in comprehensive solution that could potentially address the needs and pains. So that means ideation, it's a general generation of ideas. So that means it is not only one idea what we are talking about for a particular problem. So we will going to get the multiple ideas for the same type of problem, and among them which is the best we need to understand and we need to explain to the stakeholders and try to solve those problems. These ideas are combined in a comprehensive solution. That means we are taking different ideas and put together and make it comprehensive. That means we are reducing it to a short one that could potentially address the needs and pains of the stakeholders. Then the implementation part. In this phase, teams rapidly build rough and low cost prototypes. What is a prototype? It is the one which more or less will going to be similar to the product which you want to develop, and then to put concrete solutions and to need to create they were testing the problems on those prototypes and trying to get the solution which will going to be solving the problems of the stakeholders. So this is how the implementation will going to be takes place. So that is what they do in a prototype. It will going to be a similar to the product and try to make their testing and try to find the solutions for that, and that is how it will going to be done in the implementation phase. Then we have the duration of phases. How much time it will going to take for all these things. Inspiration, of course, we need to go to the field and address the people and interview them, take the photographs, the videos and all those things which will be done, and that of course will going to take the longer period of time. And also when you want to try to implementation, what happens in the implementation phase, we need to develop the prototypes. Developing the prototypes itself is a big task. Once you develop the prototype, then we need to test it. So the testing and then try to get the solution. If the testing doesn't yield the desired results, again we have to build one more prototype, try to modify the testing conditions according to the requirement of the feedback what you have got from the user. Of course, all these things which doesn't have any rule, and if I follow this, we will going to get this result. If I follow this, we will going to get this result. This is not the way. This is not just applying into the formula. It is not there. We are trying to find out the different ideas and different solutions and try to get into a more or less a comprehensive desired result. So in order to do these things on these outcomes, what happens in the meantime, we are going to lose a lot of time, and hence the inspiration and implementation phases takes the longest to complete. The inspiration phase is concrete. It's about understanding the users and their pains and problems. Takes time as teams need to deep dive into users mindset and behavior. That was what I was talking about this. And then the ideation is abstract and imaginative. It needs focus and it's intense, but it should not take large amount of team's time. The more time is spent here, the less we can interact with the users to test the solutions. So ideation it's an abstract and imaginative. So we are trying to just to get an abstract of what the problem is. So once you try to get the abstract, so it is from the beginning to the ending stage. That is what we will go to have from this. So we should not spend much of the time on the ideation, because if you spend this time, and we will going to lose a lot of time in interacting with the users and to test the solutions. So implementation is once again concrete. It's about experimenting by confronting ideas with reality. Teams put the prototypes in the hands of the users. Here again it takes time to build the prototypes, test them, gather feedback and reiterate designs. The ideation funnel during the design thinking process, it is common to generate as many as 250 ideas. But just it is a simple case study what he is referring to, but it may need not to be having that much number. Since he is giving an example for that, he is giving a number so that we will be able to understand what it is an ideation is, which are then narrowed to become it is 25 concepts. This widening and narrowing in each phase are called the divergent and convergent thinking. So, implementation is once again it is a concrete, it's about experimenting and confronting ideas with reality. So, whatever the idea we have, suppose if I have some idea, we want to develop a prototype, how to make that prototype. So, we want to construct the prototype and then trying to test them, and we are giving it to the user to test them. Once they test them, then they will going to get what is their experiences and what they have encountered the problems. We will going to gather the feedback, reiterate the designs, that means reiterate the designs, that means we are modifying the design according as and when the problem occurs. Suppose if I have a three-leg a stool or a chair, if you don't give the ribs, then what happens? Once we sit, it will go to collapse. So we need to give the support for the three legs. So to give the support to the three legs, what they will going to give is they will going to provide a rib. That means the connecting between the three legs at the lower end, so that it will going to give a strength to the chair, so that a person will be able to sit comfortably without getting any damage. So this is how we are trying to remodify the design. So that is what is called reiterate designs. The ideation funnel during the design thinking process, it is common to generate as many as 250 ideas. That means once we are trying to develop the model or the product, so we will going to get the plenty of ideas. So then we will going to discuss and we will try to eliminate or remodify the ideas and try to narrow down the ideas into a concept. So the concept which will going to be happening when you are going to get only about the 25 concepts. This widening and narrowing at each phase is called the divergent and convergent thinking. So the divergent thinking is about opening the choices, looking broadly and considering many different options. The rationale of divergent thinking is to avoid being trapped in the usual setting of the problems within a pre-existing set of solutions. So the diverging thinking is about opening the choices. As the channel diverges, what happens? The more number of ideas will going to become, the area becomes wider. So once the area becomes the wider, so then naturally the more ideas will going to flow in. As the more idea comes to flow in, so naturally you are going to have more confusions. So because of the different ideas which are going to be considered, in some of the cases the ideas what it going to be able to get may not be relevant to your problem, but still that ideas will be there. So we need to eliminate such type of things. So the rationale of divergent thinking is to avoid being trapped. So that is the one which we is talking about, wherein some of the ideas which we are going to get may not be relevant to your problem. So that if you have plenty of ideas is coming in, but if it is not relevant to your problem, then it becomes the wastage of time and uses setting up within pre-existing set of solutions. So this is convergent thinking is the process of narrowing down options. So we are trying to eliminate the unwanted processes and the options, and narrowing down to the options and selecting the most promising ones to further explore and test it. So this is what the inspiration, ideation and implementation. He says implementation, I have a design challenge, how do I get started? This is the problem. And then he will going to get how do I conduct an interview. So that is itself is one of the questionnaire what he is talking about. How do I stay human centered? Then ideation, I have an opportunity for design now. So that is the title. How do I interpret what I have learned? So that means whatever I have got the feedback from the people, how can I interpret that? How do I turn my insights into tangible ideas? So whatever I have within me can be able to generate the ideas. So once I get the ideas, how to implement those ideas by making the prototype of the model. Once I do that, once the prototype is done, implementation. I have an innovative solution. So once you have the innovative solution, how do I make my concept real? So once you have the innovative solution, how it to be made it is real? How do I assess if it's working? How do I plan for sustainability? So this is what we do. So initially when you are doing the inspiration, so this is the divergent wherein the more number of ideas will going to come. So then we have the convergent portion. How do I to make two prototypes? So then we need to diverge because we need to get some more ideas here. How to implement the concept. So this is how the convergence. This is it's like a sine wave curve. So and it start diminishing because initially we are going to have the more ideas and narrowing those ideas, and then finally it will going to be converged into a sustainability. So this is how you will be able to have the design thinking of the different phases, and what is the time frame for getting into the design thinking. Thank you.